Yo, yo. Yo, 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 yo. Bum, 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 da, dun, dun. We are making miniature cannon. Miniature cannon. Bum, 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 bum. Bum, ba-dum, bum, bum, bum. I mean, I don't care about drama, especially league drama that has no significance in anyone's life. Is that what you mean? You gotta have the drama, bro. You gotta listen to the drama. Ow. The league drama. Fuck. Is it league drama? Is another top laner outed as a individual who is an individual? Oh my god, a support! What does the name start with? Do I know this person? Bum, 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 bum. Well, do I know the person's name? Is it a streamer or a pro player? I've never heard of that guy. Yeah, I don't know who that is. I don't know who that is. Must be an EU thing. Must be an EU thing. Yo, yo. Who is Corpse Husband? Sea of Thieves? I know of it. I haven't played it, though. EU. The gyro's basically done. I'm not finishing it off just because I don't have bases. I don't have anything. All of the bases I need right now are all out of stock. I had a look this morning, and they're all 50/50s out of stock, and I don't know when they're going to get restocked, so I'm going to wait. I know every game I want to run the Anvil of Doom, so I got to build an anvil, and there's no way I'm building a metal one. I've got a fine cast one. Oh, that was a while ago. We have been very busy. Changed headsets? I ordered a new headset, actually. I'm going to get a wireless one for this setup because I cannot use the wire. Every time I move anywhere, it just fucks up. I treated myself to a headset. Yeah, tomorrow. I want a whole day to stream it. I don't want to stream for like 2 hours. Although I'm very busy still. And I don't think spending an entire day being busy and then getting on League is fun. I want to be able to not be busy. And I haven't done Warhammer like this in fucking 5 years, so I'm kind of doing it now. Chromo, yo, buddy. When you've been deprived of your number one hobby or your number one thing in your pastime, it's like, yeah, I'd like to do it a little bit. That's pretty cool. I mean, local stuff like that shouldn't be too bad. Books are usually very expensive or very cheap. It's hard to find anything in between, I find. Because I'm still reading right now. I want to start another book soon. I read before bed. About like 20 pages, 30 pages or something, usually. You know, it's an official publisher. No one want to copyright strike a publisher from Malaysia. Yeah, no one's gonna. Nobody goes over there. There's no copyright laws anywhere, bro. You think about China, like anywhere over there, it's you get away with like whatever you want. Elsewhere, not so much. But currently, I'm rereading some stuff that I had read previously, but it's not fresh enough in my mind. So right now, I actually did read three new things. One was the new White Dwarf, which is only a couple of pages. Two of them were older magazines that I had bought. They contain like short stories for Warhammer. Everything's Warhammer. One of them was about an expedition to basically like Atlantis with the dwarves in a fucking like submersible. Another one was a dishonored dwarf who like essentially his bloodline was cursed because his family had done something so horrible in the past, and so for every generation the shame would live on and live on and live on. And it was about him trying to find his honor again. And then the other one I'm rereading, those two I actually read recently that were brand new. But what I'm rereading right now is a book called Grudge Bearer, and it's more dwarf stuff. It's about basically a king who dies and his kingdom passes on to his son, and his son tries to avenge him and, go through a few grudges along the way. It's cool. It's very dwarfy. I've had the books for ages because I had perused them or read them in the past, but, like, it's been so long. So, that's what I'm reading. And then after that, I got another novel that's, I believe, The Battle for Skull Pass. So it's like dwarves against goblins. It's just a standalone. There's no, like, sequels or prequels. So stuff like that. Ivana's buying me books for my birthday because I've got the War of the Beard omnibus, but I want the individual books, so she's gonna go back and buy me the 3 books that make up the omnibus. Me want books. Me love books. Did you buy your books too? Hell no, she don't read. Why didn't you send a pigeon to me that you were going live? I added everyone in the Discord. That's what I usually do. She doesn't even read books, though. I've asked her, I'm like, why don't you take 30 minutes of your night to read a book? She's like, it's so fucking boring. I'm like, what? You just gotta find what you like. Everyone likes what they like, Not everyone's gonna sit down and want to read books about fucking dwarves or pirates or dragons and beasts. Like, it's that's a valid thing to say that books are boring, but, like, if you're really into a subject matter, it's very appealing. Um, I should read my codexes. Reading is good. Again, it's not like you have to fucking read everything. But if you want to know more, everything is in the books. The books contain all of the information. Fuck. Wait, what? What the fuck? What? Where the fuck is that from? That is bizarre. Hang on. Weird. Thousand-page books in a week when I was younger. Yeah, well, when you're younger, you do things a lot faster. You're more excited for it as well. As a kid, you don't think, you just do. As an adult, you tend to overthink. Can't speak for everyone, but like, yeah, you know. You're a little bit more mentally involved as an adult. That is how that works. What's so fucking weird about this is all of these. Why is this one different? Why is that different? Mostly just Warhammer stuff now. I don't even know what Asof means, so unfortunately not. Yeah, peace, buddy. Take it easy, man. What the fuck? Oh, all of these are different? Oh, no shit. That is some fancy detail. Damn, the dwarves ain't fucking around. Fancy schmancy. It's natural. Yo. The dwarven longboat. Bum, 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 ba, da, ba, bum. I think what I do need to make, though, is an anvil. I mean, vultures chasing content. Yeah, well, welcome to people with no hobbies. You've played League all day, and then you go fucking create drama. Or not create drama, you cover drama. That's what people want, though. You know, have fun. Not everyone likes that. Some people want the simpler things in life, like plastic minis. Some people want problems always. I need to. Do I have any runesmiths? Rune lords? I gotta create a bunch of stuff. I initially wanted to do my Anvil of Doom with the Thoric kit, and then the more I thought about it, I'm like, I kind of don't want Thoric Ironbrow in my army. It doesn't really make sense. So I think what I'm going to do is make more of a generic Anvil of Doom. I'm not sure. So many ideas, so little time. At least for now. Yep, basically. You want to see what I put together today? I got my taste of old world dwarves today, folks. I wasn't cucked by GW. Take a look at this. I put this together. Yeah, you know what this is? Old world stamps. Yeah, it's a stamp collection and postcard collection. I got a fucking frame for this bitch at Michael's for $8. Glorious. You got the Thorgrim stamp, send it to your grandmother. You got the Ironbreakers, send it to your uncle. You got the fucking Ironbreaker postcard, and don't show it to anyone. It's too cringe. Battlefield, yeah, it's cool. It looks all right. It's like that. Pretty cool. They made those, I think, like last year. Last year sometime they had like a crossover with Royal Mail. And they had a few dwarf stamps and postcards, but most of the other stuff's kind of like Age of Sigmar, 40K, stuff like that. Ivana fucked my hair up recently. I've never been to Warhammer World. I will be going soon, I hope, within like the next year. The problem is, I've asked around, and I purchase I collect Warhammer merchandise. I have for very long time, and I'm wondering if at Warhammer World I had talked to people who had gone. I'm just wondering if like the dwarf releases come out, and then for the dwarf releases they bring out like art prints in store or different like pieces of dinky, mementos or like take me homes type of deal. So I don't know. I do want to go though. I'm gonna see if they can give me. I'm that weird guy who fixates on stuff. So like, if I end up going into Bugman's Bar, I'm gonna see if they have any like old fucking menus that they want to give me. Like, I'll take them. I'll put them in frames. I've collected so many Bugman's Bar merchandise items over the years. It's like they're fucking weird. I've talked to a bunch of people. Guy who used to work in GW who had a girl who was studying like jewelry and she worked in Bugman's Bar and she made people like I think it was cufflinks or something that all looked dwarven. It was really, really cool stuff that people do there. So, I'd like to go one day. Organ gun. Probably not the best thing, but yeah. I really enjoy these streams of yours, even if I almost never manage to watch them because of... Yeah, that's all good. I mean, I don't really stream here. I won't be streaming here as often. I've really only been on the second channel and not the main channel recently, just because I've been so fucking busy all day. And I kind of want to come home and just chill. So that's kind of why we're doing this so often. Get the Bugman's Brew. You want to see Bugman's Brew? Look at those. I got Bugman's mugs all over there. Up there, too. You can't see it, though, maybe. Oh, there's a shelf there. Yeah, I got some Bugman's Brews. I'm pretty sure they, I don't know if they still make the ceramic ones, because they're like, I'm assuming it's a local company. The mugs that they do bring in that are like ceramic ones are from Stonebridge Pottery. That's the brand that kind of makes them for GW. I don't know if they still do it. I know they have right now at Warhammer World like leather ones, like leather tankards or leather dice cups and shit like that. Like I'm always looking for ones that I don't have. But the ceramic ones are a little bit rare. They're not as often kind of seen. Time zones do me dirty. Always 2 to 3 a.m. when I tune in. Yeah, it's just what it is, man. I'd like to stream early in the morning, and at that point, maybe it's good for people, but I would never know. Okay, the organ gun is basically done. Like 99% clean, so I got to do the crew. And I do want to make an Anvil of Doom, because I want to include an anvil, because anvils are sick, and they're not bad. Pretty sure I have a brand new anvil kit. Thankfully, the old world might have left, but I've never left the old world. Is this a full Thoric kit? That's an empty Thoric kit. Is this Thoric? Uh-huh. Thoric Ironbrow. Thoric Ironbrow. Filthy European watching NA streams. Yeah, it's a bit rough sometimes. I only need the anvil. And the furnace. Yeah, time zones are rough. I mean, most people stream really early, because I think if you stream early in the day during, like, EST hour, or Eastern Standard Times, you get more, people around the world. It just works out better. And if it works out better, that's better for everybody. Runesmith. Really? I don't know a runesmith? Seriously? Okay. So we are making an organ gun. I need the crew. The crew of the organ gun. I've always liked the bodies of, like, the engineer's kit that comes with this. Not really engineering kit, but, like, the crew of the War Machine. They've got like little aprons and they just look different. More leather instead of armored because they're just sitting in the back line, kind of just chucking out cannonballs. Yeah, look at that. That's cool. Bunch of tools and whatnot. Where was the other torso? I'm missing a torso. Nope. Gragas? 18 Rangers, 10 Thunderers, 2... The 2x6 Iron Drakes. Why not 2x5? Or 2 times 5. The Rangers, I feel like Thunderers don't do as well as Rangers or Quarrelers, because the Quarrelers are able to shoot, like, first turn, potentially, because they've got more range. I like Iron Drakes. I like Rangers. I like the Gyrocopters. Anvil seems to be all right for, like, what, 2d6 strength 5 AP 1 hits or something? Torpedoes are good, yeah. Well, shouldn't it be like 4 Drake guns and then 1 torpedo? Because, like, the minimum unit you could do is, like, 4 generic troops and then 1 sergeant. Samuel, yo, buddy. Because I'm doing Iron Drakes as well. Min squad Iron Drakes is definitely the way to go. There's no... Why would you even make a squad of, like, 20 Iron Drakes to begin with? That doesn't make sense. Unless you've got a hill and you want to sit them in the middle of the map and, like, shit on everything. But even then, that's just so many points. So, I do agree. Go for the Iron Drakes. Min-max. Yeah, the toughness 10 king that costs like 300 fucking points or something on shield bearers. You know, like, but at that point, no one's going to go for him, man. It's like, what? You can give him all these fucked up runes. Stacked runes. See, I was thinking of doing that as like a big hammer unit just sitting in the middle of the map doing whatever it wants. But then everything, I feel like they're just going to ignore you, no? Unless you like really run it down mid with the king and like hammers. Oh, gotcha. They will, exactly, they're going to ignore you. Like, that's all of your points. Your king is a fourth of the army. Your hammers are half of the army. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like running around with min squad units makes more sense. You just kind of get more ground to cover, and you can also shoot the shit out of stuff, right? Like, you can be more precise with what you want to be doing on the field. Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm not even talking about it at a competitive level, because I don't care about competitive gaming, but I still want to win. You know, I'm not going to sit here and, like, min-max the build, but if you're going to have something fluffy, you take a king on shield bearers, and you put them in a big block of hammers, and that's, like, totally dwarves, right? You don't put your king in warriors or longbeards, although longbeards, okay, they could kind of work, because typically longbeards are, like, advisors, and sometimes when kings go to war, you know, they empty their coffers, and they're like, oh, let's get you some good gear, right, for the old folks in the hold. But typically in lore, it's just the hammers. Like, the hammers and the king are one and the same. Absolutely. It just sucks that it's so many fucking points. Because, again, no one's going to throw anything into you. Maybe just a bunch of chaff. Take the snotlings. Take the goblins. Somehow rear charge with the Black Orcs. I don't know. Yep, that too. I paint my own stuff. No, I'm not gonna. The only thing... So I might reach out to a few people to paint, like, commemorative things, just at a very high level. Or, like, once in a lifetime. So I was going to reach out to a guy. I haven't been able to. He's a very nice dude. I think his name is Miniatures Den. He's on the stream sometimes. He paints on Twitch. He's from Italy. He's a professional painter. Very fucking good. And I have a lot of old, like, rare commemorative or diorama, like, pieces. And I was thinking of sending him, once I have the time to clean it up, is this Gotrek and Felix diorama. So, see it here. Gotrek, Snorri, Max Schreiber, Felix, Ulrika. And I think they're 30% bigger than, like, GW minis. They look good. And they're supposed to be just on this resin base as a diorama. But stuff like this, that's a one-off that I'm never going to get again. I don't mind commissioning out to professional painters just because it would look amazing. And it's something you sit on a shelf, right? When it comes to armies and shit like that, I'm just going to paint everything myself. Armies are a little bit more personal. Need the drilled and anvil combo to get 2 moves so you can get into march column to move 9 inches, then spellcast again, rune to drill into battle formation. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of resources that go into that, but, like, would you ever take an anvil and a block of hammerers and a king on shield bearers? Like, that's so expensive. A Slayer, Army of Renown. When the book comes out, it's your whole army is gone. Like, the anvil's what, 2 something, I think? The king is, like, 400. The hammer block is, like, what, 400? I don't know. Something along those lines. It's all the fucking runes and everything you can give them. It's just super, super expensive. As fun as that may be, it's just so one-dimensional that no one's going to care. Yeah, $235 for the anvil. People put shit on the anvil, but I would never do that. I feel like a 235-point anvil with no, like, runes or anything, to me, sounds fine. A negation rune or something. Yeah, okay, you could do that maybe. I just wanted to say thanks for getting me into Warhammer because I'm playing Total War 3 with my friends right now, and this game is fun as hell. It's very fun, eh? You know what's fucked up, though, is that when that game came out, it was based on a universe that was no longer sold. So, like, they give you a game that's based on a miniatures game, and they're like, you know what they did initially? When you bought the fucking game, they gave you advertisements saying, check out the game. And then people check out the game, and it's like Age of Sigmar. Actually, I did want to show you... Speaking of Age of Sigmar, let me show you guys something cool. So I played Age of Sigmar initially when it came out. I was there at the tail end of Fantasy. I was there for Age of Sigmar. I was there for 7th edition. Let me show you something you probably didn't... Oh, actually, no, you most definitely did know if you played AOS when it came out, but... Playing as Count Noctilus. Yeah, Noctilus is cool. I mean, the Vampire Coast is something that was never really big in tabletop. It was more of this, like, weird niche thing that some people fucked with, but it wasn't too big. So them bringing that back was cool. Level 3 Residual Rune of Calm and Rune of Spellbreaking to basically lock down level 4. Yeah, level 4s are everywhere. I was watching a few battle reports, and people are running, like, 2 level 4s and a 2,000-point army. And if you don't have anything to dispel that shit, you just lose, right? Like, those things just whoop your ass. So many spells. 8 spells? Like, okay. Feed your editors big dinner or else. How about I feed you this 1st edition Age of Sigmar dwarf book, the printout. I don't know if you guys ever saw this. When Warhammer Fantasy died, and I mean really died, the first thing they did was they they gave you PDFs of your army, a 1-to-1 of your army in Fantasy to use in Age of Sigmar. So this was the very first thing they gave you the second Fantasy died. And it's interesting because it still has Thorgrim. Thorgrim has rules. It has every character, every miniature they sold in Fantasy. Thoric Ironbrow's here. Craggy is here. Like, Belagar's here. Ungrim. You know, this is the translation of them from Fantasy into Age of Sigmar, and I thought it was fun. Grim Burlickson, Joseph Bugman, Dwarf Lord, Rune Lord. You can't see the font because it's too low, but it was very interesting to go from this, an entire book. There's no Grombrindle, because Grombrindle, I think, previously in Fantasy was only in, like, a White Dwarf. He wasn't in the Codex. You could never play him. But, like, they basically just had all of the rules. Well, they remade the rules, essentially. So it was cool, you know, for what it was. It's not Fantasy, but it was, like, a different way to play. And since I've been going through my storage, I've found a lot of weird shit like this, so that's just one of them. Yeah, because Grombrindle, you can use Grombrindle. You can use Grombrindle right now in AOS, right? I don't know if he's, like, tournament legal or anything, but he was in the White Dwarf 500 for the rules, which I do have. It's sitting on the floor. Yeah. He's Legends. Yep. Makes sense. I mean, he's fucking cool. And, you know, as much as I don't really... I don't mesh well with AOS, it's still a continuation of Fantasy, and you've still got characters from the old world that exist in Age of Sigmar. I fuck with it. Some people hate it, but I like it. I think, to me, the problem was always... I love traditional dwarves, and they do kind of exist, but they're not really their own thing, right? It's more of parts of their society that were turned into actual armies. Like traditional dwarves. Like the Cities of Sigmar dwarves, they're going to get phased out. They're going to be gone. Or, you know what? They're going to get new minis and different rules. Because you could easily say Iron Drakes, Iron Breakers, Hammerers, all that shit you still support, they're gone into Old World, right? Which is exactly where they're going. And instead, for Cities of Sigmar, you bring out new Dwarven sculpts, specifically for Cities of Sigmar, right? So you could do that if you wanted to keep the whole, you know, races working in tandem, and you've got elves and dwarves living in the cities and, you know, helping out the humans when they go out and do their shit. You could do that. It's just you don't want the overlapping miniatures. That's at least the trend that GW is doing right now, is where they don't want they don't want Age of Sigmar units, the models, being used in Fantasy and vice versa. They even brought back the old fucking, like, what, 4th edition Night Goblins or something? Or 5th edition? I think it was 6th. I don't know. It was one of those, like, older plastic fucking big chunky hand, big chunky feet, big heads. Like, they really went all in on, this is for this game, and everything else is not for your game. You know, there's no reason you can't proxy it and use whatever minis you want, because at the end of the day, it's just what looks good to you is what you should be using. But right now, I've given up on Age of Sigmar. Okay, chill out, guys. I've given up on AOS just because it's not... There's no reason to play dwarves in cities. They're fucking garbage, right? And the main reason I was playing cities is to use dwarves and to use humans and to be able to have that sort of, like, giant conversion project to where, you know, I could turn the Hurricanum into, like, a giant fucking Anvil of Doom wheeled vehicle. Stuff like that. And you just don't have synergy anymore, so it's pointless. Well, Rank and File is already back. It's completely back. People are playing it right now. It's called the Old World. Yeah, it is back in not full force, not yet, just because they're kind of, like, trickling in all the armies. Yep. It's supported. It's back. Warhammer's saved. Everyone can go spend their money. Because to me, this is my childhood. This is what I grew up with. If I'm going to spend any money, it's going to be on Warhammer Fantasy. We'll see what they do with it, though. I have a full lizard army. Yeah, that's cool. Lizardmen are cool. I used to fuck with lizardmen. I would use aquarium scenery as their basing. But this was when I was a child. And now that I'm a grown man, I can't look at them the same. You fuck with lizards? No, you shouldn't. That's like a Florida thing. I feel bad for the old folks who are getting into old world. It's like obvious who is new and who is old fantasy players. I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, to be fair, it's a specialist game, right? It's not meant to be inviting for everybody, but like at the same time, it needs to at least be playable for new people, right? Like the Horus Heresy has a lot of niche rules. Age of Sigmar, 40K, very dumbed down. Fantasy, I heard it was more of like an amalgamation of a few editions. Like I haven't played a game of Old World yet, but I've seen a lot of content on it, and it is different. I've only played 7th to 8th Warhammer Fantasy, and even then it wasn't religiously. Like I'd play maybe 2 games a week, something like that at best. But yeah, it's just it's a different game. You don't go into it thinking like, oh, this is Age of Sigmar. It's like, no, formations and all this other wacky, weird niche shit that you kind of have to like think of in advance. 40K is cool. I mean, I've played 40K. I've collected 40K for ages. Right now, I'm not really into it. The only thing I give a shit about in 40K currently are the Leagues of Votann. And even then, I'm not extremely in love with them. They're dwarves. The lore is cool. Great. Back in the day, I was making like a rogue trader squat army out of Mechanicum stuff, but like, I think I'm just going to hold off. GW doesn't reprint the old kits for Army into Old World. Instead, new players need to proxy or third print, which is very understandable. What are you talking about? Yeah, they do. The GW doesn't reprint the old kits for armies? Are you talking about the ones that aren't currently out? Like the Empire, the Orcs, and not the Orcs and Goblins, like Vampire Counts, Lizardmen, stuff like that? It was a weird launch. Like, how are you going to launch a game that has no releases? Do you know what I mean? Like, not everyone's going to fucking buy into the old world and be like, man, I can't wait to play Bretonnia and Tomb Kings because they're fresh and there's miniatures being sold. Like, I get what you mean, though. Yeah. Like, it would have made sense to have more things come out at once. Zach, yo, buddy. Like, where the fuck's the Empire? Where are the elves? Where the fuck are the dwarves? Like, holy shit, GW blue ball and dwarf players for 30 years. I'm going to assume June is the month of the dwarf. Like, I can't even imagine what the fucking other races are going to have to deal with when they eventually come out, because, like, it's been a while. Oh, yeah. The stuff that currently isn't out, yeah, that makes sense, yep. A very weird release. And you know what's even crazier? It is a game for, like, boomers. What's crazier about it is that if you've gotten into Warhammer recently, there is nothing in Games Workshop that says make it yourself. Whereas in Warhammer Fantasy, or not Fantasy, but the old world, they actually have profiles for characters that don't even exist. You have to make your own miniatures, which is exactly what you used to do for 40K for Warhammer Fantasy. In the books, they actually tell you to make your own shit. Which is awesome. That's before they found out they could make money with miniatures. Well, I mean, some of the stuff they did say, so like the two things I had seen in the Orc and Goblin Arcane Journal, because I did pick it up. I used to play Orcs and Goblins. I'm tempted. They have a new Night Goblin character who's supposed to be, I think, on a giant wolf. And they did have one in the past called, I think it was Gatilla the Hunter. Or Gatilla something. He was like a goblin wolf rider with a bow. Never a miniature for him. In the new book, they've got, I think, Nick Kit or something. He's like a goblin war boss on a giant wolf, a white wolf or something. Bro thinks he's out of The Hobbit. Space, thank you, buddy. Thanks, man. And later on in the book, they've also got Black Orc boar chariots. Black Orc boar chariots. Like, and in the book, they do say, if you want to make the Black Orc boar chariot, buy the Black Orcs, buy the boar chariot, and swap the crew for Black Orcs. It's like, all right, okay. I'd love to see if they have anything like that. Does anyone here own the Arcane Journals for Bretonnia or Tomb Kings? Anyone play that shit? I'd be very interested to see how they handle, if it's the case, for every Arcane Journal, they give you like 2 to 3 units that you have to build yourself. I'd love to see what the Dwarven ones are, if that's the case. Supposedly, there was a leak recently, or word's been going around of like new dwarf things coming out. There's supposed to be Dwarven spearmen and some sort of like Dwarven royal guard, which I don't know what the fuck that means because we've already got hammerers. Like, what is a Dwarven royal guard? What is that? It is for me. Yeah, Banatu, peace, buddy. Take it easy, man. The hammerers are the king's guard, yes. The king and his hammerers are like one and the same. That's why I'm thinking, I'm like, what the fuck is a royal guard? There's nothing higher than a hammerer who kind of like works with the king, at least in terms of a military force, right? Or a group of like individuals. I don't know. Black Orc boar chariots? I mean, they'd just be beefier chariots. The problem with the greenskins is that they've got like 3 of the same thing. It's like orc, bigger orc, big orc on boar. And then it's like naked orc, naked big orc, naked orc on boar, naked big orc on boar. Do you know what I mean? It's so like, yeah, the greenskins are very they've got a lot. Well, he has the fuck, it's in the book. It literally, they go, are they called the Everguard? So Thorgrim's personal bodyguard are the Everguard. Like, they are the elites of the elites. If you think hammers are elite and guard their king, imagine the ones that guard the High King, right? It's the Everpeak guard. Because they end up getting into like a giant scuffle with Queek's Red Guard in the end times, and they get fucking all their heads crushed in and whatnot. The Everguard. Yep. Naked orcs. Yeah, the savage orcs. I wonder if the savage orcs are ever going to come back for fantasy. Or I keep saying fantasy, but I mean the old world. I genuinely never cared about them, but it was like a cool addition, you know? Royal Guard is great hammers with ward saves with Gromril armor. I don't know. Like, it'd have to be some sort of like hyper elite hammer. Because there's just nothing in lore currently. I mean, they can make up their own shit. Dwarves don't use spears. Not anymore. They used to. So, like, whatever they want to cook up and say, dwarves have spears. They've got long poled mattocks that the Ironbreakers used, which I think was now, like, retconned or something. But, like, previously they did. So I guess they're not really opposed to it. But dwarves and spears in fantasy is a bit weird. Well, yeah, that would be so good for dwarves. If you talk about anything that'd be good for dwarves, it'd be the spear. But they're too stubborn to even look at anything like that. Not to mention it's elvish, cowardly weapons. They're too frail for the dwarves, you know? And they don't double as tools. But then again, what the fuck does what does an axe do in a mountain hold, you know? Compared to a hammer, right? If I wasn't a fan of dwarves, what would my second favorite faction be? Orcs and goblins. It'd be dwarves, orcs, and goblins, and then humans. So, like, 40k would be Leagues of Votann, then orcs, and then guard. Fantasy would be dwarfs, orcs, and goblins, and then empire. Stuff that I've already collected. Because, like, me growing up, it was always about dwarves, orcs, and humans. The very, like, super standard, you know, fantasy race, right? Of course, you've got elves and whatnot in the mix as well, but, like, I never cared about them. Troll meat barbecue with a healthy portion of stone to help digest it. Yeah, they do use stone for a lot, and they do eat stone. Stone bread. They got stone in their fucking pillows. Yeah. Stone. That was a book of mine growing up as well. Yeah. What a very disgusting thing to eat, but like, you gotta eat something. The bone bread the ogres make. Well, I mean, I'm sure it's just them grinding up fucking bone, right? And then tossing it in some flour. Do they even use flour? Do they know what that is? Dwarves usually just eat meat, mushrooms, and stone. Greenery for a dwarf? Yikes. Green eggs and ham? Yeah. Cabbage and smoked meat. Yeah, because that's the only way to fucking live, dude. The cabbage was great. I don't know why cabbage was so OP. Maybe it was just, it was an omen from my past, reminding me of where I've come from and what's to come. Yeah, the terrain was cool. I mean, have you seen the Age of Sigmar terrain? It's not bad. It's definitely fun. I'd love to see old world terrain. Like, I guess the closest thing you have is bringing the Anvil of Doom. That's essentially a terrain piece. It doesn't fucking move. But, like, anvil and hammers are terrain pieces. Yeah, basically. Yeah. Yeah, they don't want to be going anywhere. I've got Votan, I just don't fuck with it. I haven't even glued a single Votan together. I'm praying there is a corrupted ancestor core related to Hashut. I mean, they've got like, wasn't there a teaser for corrupted kin, the fucking like AI that they've got, the Iron Kin? It would be interesting to see corrupted like squats or not squats, Votan. Because, like, yeah, if one of their ancestor cores kind of went rogue, which I guess some of them have, but if one started to, like, spew chaos shit, I don't know what they'd do with that. Probably follow it. I do like the Votan, but there's just no heart or soul behind them. And that's just 40k. It's like everything is just too large and loud, and everyone's crazy and fucking dying in the millions. It's a very depressing universe, which is the appeal. Don't get me wrong. Chaos Dwarfs and Reveal Hashit Horned Rat were ancestors that fell to chaos. Horned Rat? I mean, isn't the Horned Rat already part of the chaos, like, gods? Wasn't he the replacement while Slanesh was fucked off or something? I think that was a while ago, though. Can I send you an anvil to your P.O. box? You talking about, what do you mean an anvil? Like, you want to send me an anvil of doom? I need to build an anvil. Vashtorr with his creation of demonic energies, or sorry, engines to create / corrupt an ancestor core. I feel like that's already going to happen. Like that's just such a freebie for Games Workshop to do, right? Like I don't know, he just goes in, invades the planet, takes over a core, corrupts it. Fucking again, it starts spewing a bunch of shit, fucks all the AI, fucks the kin up in the head. You know, like they probably have done stuff like that, or at least are thinking of doing it. So. It's a possibility. Again, I'm not like the biggest 40k nut. I used to like 40k a lot more than I do now. But that's such a freebie because even back in the day they had chaos squats, which had miniatures, right? $250 kg smithing anvil. No, I think I'm good. Little brother of the four that's trying to usurp them constantly and is the jack of all trades. I mean, if you're a Skaven, you're trying to like usurp everyone, right? Like you're sticking a dagger in your fucking brother. You know, if he's a higher up position and oh my god, I'm the favor of the Horn Rat, whatever, shanked. Skaven are just fucking losers. That's what they do, man. They're all vying for power. They all want to be number one. They're scum, but they're not. I guess they're cool scum, but their lives mean nothing, right? Like the value of a Skaven life is nothing compared to a dwarf or some empire guy who's seen it all. But Skaven are cool. People like them. Skaven just want misery. Why? Why are they like this? The Hive cities are cool, though, yeah. I mean, I wish... Well, you've already got, what, Necromunda that takes place in a Hive city? Like, well below? Deep in the slump? Or I think they call it the sump or something like that. It's below that, I believe. Yeah. Having those specialist games, if that's what you'd call them, Necromunda kind of sucks. I mean, I like the minis. If they bring back Chaos Dwarves to Age of Sigmar, what would they have for units? Reason I ask is the Auric clans are no longer slaves to Chaos Dwarves, so in theory it's going to be Beasts of Chaos, which is why the 4th edition Beasts are going to Legends. I don't think Chaos Dwarves ever utilized Beasts of Chaos. I think they were more of like... I don't even know what half the fucking like half dwarf, half beast was. Does anyone know what the fuck those are? Didn't they have I guess they were part of the Beastmen. What the hell were those like? I gotta look it up. I'm assuming they wouldn't make it too different, like from what came from fantasy. Just make it a little bit crazier. It was the Hushut corruption turning them into bulls. Yeah, it was something like that. It wasn't actual beastmen. What about the ones that looked more beast-like? You know what? Is it just called Bull Centaurs? Bull Centaur. Okay. Bull Centaur renders. A mutant creature that possesses the upper torso of a Chaos Dwarf, but the body of a ferocious bull. Many centuries ago, when Chaos Dwarfs were first twisted by Chaos, some of their race were transformed into Bull Centaurs. Okay, so it's Dwarven Beast instead of Man and Beast. Yeah, they're fucking ugly. Those are disgusting. No one wants to see that. I mean, what would you have in Age of Sigmar? I feel like all dwarfs need big blocks of units, right? That you're probably going to have some sort of like What about the hobgoblins? Don't they have the hobgoblins? But aren't they in like that fucking swamp tribe orc shit? What are they called again? The hobgoblins still exist. I don't think they'd ever be part of the Chaos Dwarves anymore, considering they have them for like, again, that one greenskin faction. Skaven would be the most powerful if they weren't murdering and scheming against each other. The dwarves as well. I mean, the only reason the Skaven get shit done is because they've got so many numbers and like fucked up scientists, right? Imagine if the dwarves weren't stuck in like 1350, still building their fucking great long dead great grandfather's great grandfather's fucking bolt thrower. Like, fuck that shit. Bring out the tanks, dude. Bring out the barges. Like, we can do it. Make it done. Right? Make it happen. In theory, a lot of races could be like, number one, the dwarves unchecked. Like, the Skaven unchecked, yes, they've got the nukes. They've got trillions of fucking, like, bodies to throw at anything they want. But how the fuck are you going to deal with an armada of tanks? Like, flying, like, air machines that drop fucking bombs. Like, are you telling me the dwarves could never make a nuke? Right? Like, come on. Chaos Dwarfs thrive on tyranny and enslavement anyways. I'm not sure they have a problem. I don't think they do the whole enslave thing for Age of Sigmar. I think it's like, that's not what they'd say. You know? They don't want to use that word. Skaven are all descended from Scavor, the son of Gazul. Really? Imagine dwarves hearing that. Imagine dwarves hearing that Skaven came from them. They would all take the Slayer Oath and just die as a species immediately. Like, what would you do? What would you do if you found out that Ratmen came from you? Like, that's probably not a thing, but, you know. Where is the, what's that reference from? It's from Lexicanum. Can you scroll down and just tell me where that's from? And I mean, the biggest thing for Skaven fucking with dwarves is that when dwarves delve into mountains, you're going to find Skaven, right? Skaven don't. Children of the Horned Rat. Is that a... Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. It's an old one. Interesting. The old roleplay books are very cool. I own a few of them because it dives deeper into like certain things that the books or whatever like typical GW stuff would give you would never tell you. Interesting. Children of the Horned Rat, A Guide to Skaven. Amazon.ca wants me to spend $404.39 to get it. Or I can get it on eBay for $240. Yeah, it's the whole bell where, like, a mysterious guy had shown up, and he's like, I will build you this bell tower, blah, 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 blah. And then it fucking, there's like a dwarven hold next to the city, and as it chimes 13 times, you know, the humans try to take, like, refuge with the dwarves or something, and then all they can hear is, like, chittering behind the gates. That was pretty creepy. No one can penetrate Athel Loren except for the dwarves. That I don't know of. If anything, I mean, fly a fucking thunder barge into it and you're good. Bomb the all hell out of it. Take it out. Destroy it. There's a lot of cool information out there. It's just a matter of finding it, you know? Thankfully, people do put things on the wiki. And I mean anything on the wiki if it's Warhammer related. I try to go back and get the original source if I can. Which, you know, it's taken from that, but like it's cool to read in your hands. Is this ship blown out? Why is it so bright? Oh, there you go. It's not as blown out. Yeah, the problem with cool Warhammer lore is that it's all gated behind very expensive books that are old. Not all of them, but if you ever wanted to go back and own great tomes of information, Warhammer-wise, you're going to pay a lot. That's just kind of the world we live in. You know, I do wonder, though, if they're going to reprint some of the books if the old world takes off. That would be very interesting to see. I mean, it is what it is. I've accepted the end times a long time ago. I've read Age of Sigmar. I like Age of Sigmar. I don't like it more than fantasy, but, you know, it happened, it's over, it is what it is, and it's canon, so just kind of have to deal with it, you know? I'd like to eventually go back and get all the End Times books. I only own, I think, like, Glotkin. I only own, like, 2 of them. And, I'd like them all. Kind of know what happens, but they're nice. You're not over it yet? I think once you've fucked with Age of Sigmar, you'd be over it. I think that's the number one reason why I've accepted it, is that I've read some of the new Gotrek stuff. Also listened to Realm Slayer and Blood of the Old World, which was like the second audio drama they put out with Brian Blessed. It's a good send-off for the dwarves and for Gotrek in, like, his new life. I really like it. You should listen to, I don't know if you've listened to the audio dramas, but they're amazing. They're very fun. The second one, like, yeah. Again, it's just a good send-off. To Gotrek, to the dwarves, to, like, the old world. I think that's when I accepted it, is when Gotrek accepted it. Because I don't want to spoil it, but, like, yeah, Gotrek came around to it, and he's like, ah. Of course, he was written to come around to it, but... If you've gotten through both of those, yeah, I think it's time to move on. Still reminisce about fantasy and whatnot, but everything comes to an end. It's just it came to an end because it wasn't selling well. Weldis, yo, buddy. Age of Sigmar was solely a thing because it made, well, fantasy made no money. So, you gotta make money. Much love from Australia. Yes, sir. It's all good, buddy. I'm very busy right now, so I kind of only stream when I've got time, and that's not a lot. It's a little early right now. It's only about 9:30. So. We're chilling. I have a mission, and my mission is to make a large 2,000-point dwarf army. Like the good old days. I've got the minis from my youth. It's just a matter of putting blade to plastic and finishing them one day. Because it's a very, very slow process. Very slow. And then after this, or rather in between it, because I know I'm going to get bored of making dwarves for 30 years, I'm going to make more dwarves, and I'm going to try and do the Lord of the Rings stuff. Which I've got a bit of. Because that's like the most nostalgic thing for me. And whatever happens, do not sell what you've started with, because you are going to regret it. Iron Hills. I don't really like the Iron Hills stuff. I'm more Moria. Like, growing up, it was all about Moria. Iron Hills, to me, they're all right, but they're not like the traditional dwarf, you know? What do we have? I've got a bunch of them, but these are like what? Khazad-Guard? Like Ballin, Dwarf Kings, Dwarf Warriors, you know? Everything is metal. I've got the plastic stuff, but... Dwarf Archer. It's just super nostalgic. My friends hate my Ram Riders. That's not a word you want to throw around often. Yeah, I heard the Iron Hills were like very, very... like super easy and cheesy. But I mean, they're dwarves, man. You know. Like the ballistas were supposed to be turbo broken. Yeah. I mean, dwarves don't have master fucking strategies, right? The strategy is line the fuck up in a row, shield wall, and shoot the living fuck out of your opponent until they die. That's their warfare. That's what it is. They're not like surging forward with agile speed and fucking, you know, just cutting down people with every stroke. it's just not them. Dwarves don't really do much in terms of moving. The way they do warfare is very stagnant like them. Thoughts on the Hobbit movies? Pretty good. I never read the book, but like I like seeing the dwarf stuff. The heroes are surprisingly good for killing, but yeah. I mean, they're dwarven heroes like Dane and whatnot. If you take them, I would imagine he better be good. Can't you use Well, who else is in the Iron Hills army as a character? Is there anyone else? Yeah, but the Hobbit movies were they were all right. If you love dwarves, you have to watch them. If you love Lord of the Rings, you have to watch them. You can use the Hobbit dwarfs as leaders. Okay, yeah, gotcha. Can't you also play like Thorin's Company and whatnot, or like Erebor Reclaimed and all that jazz? Like the character thematics in that game are awesome. You can just take Gandalf, like take whoever. That's cool. Yep. Give them all ponies. But then you need the minis, which are very expensive. Because everything is very expensive. Man, that is such a disgusting, like, there is no way you give a bald dwarf, like a mullet. It's not even a mullet. What even is that? What would you call this haircut? Is that even real? Is that a real thing? Like, you give the bald guy hair in the back? I mean, that probably is a style, but yeah, it's funny. A little gross. What it do? We're good. We're chilling. Lots to clean up. Lots to do. How come you don't work more on the Lord of the Rings figures? Oh, I've got them. I've got a shit ton of them. I started with the Lord of the Rings. Like my love for dwarves, outside of like Snow White as a kid, you know, I went to fucking Disneyland, Disney World, wherever, whatever it was called, and I had brought back a bunch of plushies of the dwarves. But outside of that, it was really just this. You know, maybe seeing the Fellowship with Gimli and whatnot, but I initially started with Lord of the Rings for dwarves. Like to me, this is when it comes to Warhammer and childhood, like this right here is my childhood. Same thing with the goblins. I did kind of collect a few goblins and whatnot with like cave trolls and the Goblin King and whatnot, but like this, I still got the box of Balin and his Khazad guard, and I remember it was at the Scarborough Town Center. the Scarborough Town Center Games Workshop, very back wall, was Lord of the Rings, and that's where I picked up Balin and the Khazad Guard. Outside of, like, blister packs of Dwarf Warriors and whatnot. Because these guys never came in boxes. Sorry. These guys, whenever you wanted basic infantry, you got 3 in a blister pack for, like, $10. So, Mines of Moria were my first purchase for Warhammer. Yeah, same. I had that too. Awesome. Very awesome. So, you know, you got to start somewhere. For me, it was just this. Shadow and Flame. It's sad that it's so true. Events, they literally said your models can have ponies without model representation. Oh, really? That's cool. Interesting GW would say that, considering they want to make a lot of money. But then again, how much money do they make off, like, Lord of the Rings people? So, probably not that much. I'm torn right now, though, because I can paint these. Like, I can actually do painting on stream. I ended up doing one for fun. Kind of translating, like, their old scheme into what they would look like now with newer paints. Where the fuck is the Dwarf Warrior? The fuck? Oh, he's right here. So, like, I kind of did a test mini. I still want to work on it a little bit to kind of, like, define a few things maybe, but it was more so to work out, like, a color scheme for these guys. For the sake of nostalgia, I wanted to paint them like this. I think the green's a little bit too... Like, me adding the highlight color kind of made it not that color initially, but they're supposed to be reminiscent of those, right? Just a little bit. The brown's a bit off for, like, the helmet and whatnot, but it's the same idea. So, fun. The day you paint is the day the earth explodes or implodes. I've done more painting off stream, and that was, like, last year. So, it's just, I want to finish enough stuff to where I can paint everything at once. I don't want to paint one thing and then make one thing. I want to paint everything. And now that the old world was just kind of brought out again and, you know, you can play the dwarves and whatnot, I'm trying to rebuild that army. And I have a general idea of what I want to run, so that's what we're building. I keep staring at the Dark Oath Army set at my GW website. Nah, bro. Save your money. Save your money for Old World Dwarves. That is much more worth it. Trust me. GW needs to see that the dwarves are selling so well that they just keep bringing out more. That needs to be the mission of Warhammer enjoyers. Buy the dwarves. Buy a lot of them. People were hoping today would be the pre-order for the dwarves, but, like, what a scam. We got the new Kill Team box with, like, the Hearthkin on foot. Or not Hearthkin, the Pioneers on foot. Yeah. That's expensive, man. The Forge World shit's very, very expensive. Anything resin goes for a lot, especially if it's from GW. I think the number one thing is when it comes to purchasing anything, fucking do it. Like, Warhammer is such an easy hobby to look at and be like, I can do that. And then you go home and you've got 50 other things on your desk, and it's like, okay, I'll do that tomorrow, or I'll do that next week, and then it never gets done. The ideas always outweigh the actual work. Squizgario, buddy. You still want your shit? Grombrindle White Dwarf figure looks pretty sick. It looks all right. It looks good. I'm not like a big fan of the new version, but it's good. They've made so many over the past. It's like, or they made so many in the past. Yeah, you're good. You're good. I've got it. It's just sitting in a box. I've only got one more week to send stuff out. Do it on the main channel. Well, you could donate wherever. Just whatever you decide to do, we'll talk about it in private. Do it in private. But yeah, I've still got it, so. I will never get to that army. It was cool for what it was, and now I'm just moving on. I have too much Warhammer. I've been in the hobby for fucking ages, and projects not done, ideas long past. It's like, nope. I'm only focusing on dwarves right now. My one love, true love. And then as time goes on, maybe get back into greenskins, but we'll see. Wait, what are you even playing them as? You still playing Age of Sigmar? This blade fucking sucks. I'm thoroughly done with Age of Sigmar right now. The old world has pulled me back in for like the game, not the miniatures, because I've always loved the minis. But oh, well, what about the stuff you're getting from me? Because that's a bunch of militia. Were you not playing like Cities of Sigmar? Because that would be a very cool Cities of Sigmar conversion army. Like, really fucking cool. Anything that's got a bunch of gunners and whatnot would be sick. I've got a good-sized Cities of Sigmar army. I just hope we get some more elves and dwarves for it soon. If they ever decide to bring back dwarves and make them relevant with, like, the city stuff, I will care about it again, but right now I'm done. Because the previous Cities book, the only Cities book they've ever had, the synergies were so much better between the races, and now they're just gone. Like, the dwarves only work with dwarves. The humans only work with humans. Like, what the fuck's the point? Like, let the Hurricanum buff dwarves. Why is that not a thing? I'm making a fuck ton of undead for the old world. Oh, yeah, I gotcha. That's cool. I mean, the only problem I find with that is that you don't get guns, right? Like, if I was to do Vampire Coast, I'd play as Empire or I'd play as Cities. Like, you need guns. The whole faction's about powder. If you're playing a bunch of zombies that are nautical themed, it's kind of just lame in a way. Subjectively, you know, I'm not saying your idea is lame, but like, you don't get guns. Where are the guns? That's cool. Like, you could easily run a bunch of cannons, easily run a bunch of like deck gunners as something. Just huge proxies. But yeah, if they ever decide to make dwarves great again in cities, I might fuck with it, just because I'm not too interested in like mono fire slayers or even Caradron. I like using other units. If they make dwarves cool in cities, I'll fuck with it. But right now, I'm just bored of it. You know, one of the oldest combos in the book for dwarves was Hurricanum, Iron Drakes, Runesmith, gone. The core of your shooting was that, and it's gone. You could still run it, it's just you can't run Iron Drakes. Iron Drakes don't do anything. Can you still take Caradron allies in cities? Can you do the gun haulers and whatnot? Iron Drakes look so awesome. You need to take them into Dwarf Army for Cities of Sigmar. I mean, for regular like Warhammer Old World, Iron Drakes are really good. Spamming a bunch of like Trollhammer torpedoes is pretty awesome, and they look cool as fuck, right? So yeah. Well, I heard shooting is even worse now in Old World. Like, there are some pockets of shooting that you can do, but it's obviously not as strong. Like, cannons being able to take out dragons and shit initially in, like, one round of shooting compared to what they get now, which is, like, D3 wounds. Pretty sure shooting, from what I've seen so far, has been, like, Rangers, Quarrelers, Iron Drakes, maybe gyrocopters with clatter guns. Stuff like that. An organ gun or two, even though it's not the best from what I've seen. It's still probably the best piece of artillery. Feels a bit more consistent, I suppose. Either way, though, I do plan on building as much as I can. Yep. Weird. But oh well. I feel like engineers are kind of shit, though. What the engineer can only. What's the main rule for the engineer right now in Old World? Isn't it just entrenchment, which is just like you gain light cover or something? I guess he's more of like, I've got points, why not, if I've got a piece of artillery? You can choose to reroll ones. Oh, you can entrench one war machine and choose to either reroll ones or artillery dice. That's not terrible, but that's like whatever. Yeah, okay. I think the idea of artillery is that you spend so many points on them, and it's like, do you actually get any value out of it? Right? Like, how many squads of Drakes could you get instead of an organ gun? Like, what, two? Two and a half? Which is probably much more consistent, and you get more board control. Maybe I'm wrong. They will, yeah. So they're not on the site right now. Essentially, what's going on is that the next big dwarf army the next big old world pre-order that's going up are the dwarves. So we're waiting right now. It's most likely going to be next week because next week is June. And I'm assuming, and also someone had said from like a leak or something, that June would be the month of dwarves. So you will be able to get the organ gun, the cannon, the grudge thrower, the bolt thrower, the flame cannon. Everything's coming back. I've had this kit in a garage for fucking years, so I'm just working on it now, but you will be able to get the exact same thing. Because the way it works as well is that the organ gun kit is 2 kits in 1. You either get to build the cannon or the organ gun. The only thing different is that there's a little bit that kind of connects to the gun, whereas this doesn't have that, right? You can see it literally right there, this thing. Organ gun, cannon. You can't magnetize them, unfortunately, unless you, like, modified it, which I would imagine is very dwarfy anyways. Engineers kind of, like, doing a few modifications to their shit. And then outside of that, it's just a bunch of random bits, right? A bunch of cool bits. You get a telescope. You've got different, well, I guess you'd see it better over here, maybe. Nope. Oh, right there. A tray full of, like, cannonballs. Or, like, whatever you'd call those, shot. Um, 120 for Iron Drakes, 75 for Iron Drakes that base Drakes built. A squad of 5 is 115. Plus the Troll Hammer, which I think is, 30 points, so, like, 145. 145 for a couple of them. Yeah, it's a bit expensive, but they do work. So when it comes to Dwarven pre-orders, I'm just going to go after made-to-order things that I don't own. I've got so many warriors, so many quarrelers. Like, there's really no reason for me to buy the main army box. I just want to pick up things that I don't own. And even then, I'm not going to be buying the Dragon Company. That's too old hammer for me. I'm more of, like, middle hammer type of guy. 2000s plus. So, any sort of, wait, this is not the right bit. Yeah, any sort of appealing made-to-order thing, or the new stuff that I don't own yet, so, like, Young Ungrim, I'll get the, Shield Bearers, the Thane with the handgun on the Oathstone, so on. Arcane Journal, I think, is the most, like, I'm mostly interested in the journal, for sure. They will probably put the new sculpts in a box. No, actually, no. I don't think so. From what I've seen so far, maybe you're right, but, like, at the same time, the only box set that was shown with photos was the Battle Force. I do believe every single Forge World character is going to be individual blisters, so, like, Ungrim, the Thane, and I think there was another one. Are we missing a dwarf? 120 for an organ gun. It's 120? I thought it was like 200. Okay, never mind. I thought it was 200 for an organ gun. Okay, 120, never mind. So yeah, they're about the same price. You're paying more for the Drakes, though, for sure. Oh, wait, no, you're not. 115 for 5 Drakes and a torpedo. Okay, so they're about the same price. All right. I guess the Drakes kind of get to move more and, like, get different angled shots off, but interesting. I'll give it a look. Either way, though, I do want Drakes in the army, so I'm building 2 units of 5 with Trollhammers. And then we'll go from there. You know, if you've got the minis, you can use them. And even then, there's nothing wrong with having minis that aren't, like, up to snuff gameplay-wise. They're just cool anyways, so why not have them? Some of the new sculpts. Well, the new sculpts for the dwarves all have profiles. Young Ungrim's gonna get a new profile. Thane with a fucking oath stone and a handgun. I think I'm missing some, no? Wasn't there one? What are we missing? Ungrim, Oathstone, Thane, Dwarven Lord with shield bearers, and like a Lord on foot. Wasn't there another release? It was like 4. There was one more that was brand new. No, that's it. Actually, it was just 3. Young Ungrim, Thane on an Oathstone with a handgun. You get a Dwarf Lord on foot that's plastic, or a Thane. And then you get a Dwarf Lord with shield bearers. And then there's a bunch of shit coming back, obviously. Cool. Good investment. Very good. I'm just waiting on the prices. I'm assuming typical GW. But maybe you get lucky. Well, we're not painting anything right now. We're just trying to make a organ gun. Like a dwarven cannon. A lot of work going into these guys. Equivalent to run my Leviathan on the tabletop. Again, are you playing Cities of Sigmar? You said you're playing Vampire Counts? No army I play can proxy it? Cities of Sigmar. Oh, Old World? Okay, never mind. You're doomed. It would be such an easy Cities of Sigmar conversion. So easy. In terms of rules. I think. Maybe I'm wrong. A Gargant? Yeah, okay. I can see that. I heard they were pretty alright too, eh? I don't think they were garbage. So, like, you actually got mileage out of it. .30 wounds? Yeah. Ridiculous amount of wounds. Yeah. Nothing you'd see in, like, fantasy. It's a very Age of Sigmar thing. Do the figures that you make ever get sold? I sold a bunch of them as a kid. Ones that I actually put together myself, not like from a kit, but from creating my own. You could sell them. People love buying Warhammer. Whether it be like custom made or just kit made. It's awesome. Uh, what was the actual count of the stuff you're selling me? I'd have to go check. There's a bunch of them. Do you want me to just show you the bag? I have the bag in here. Ooh. Ooh. I have to pack them. Let's just say you're getting your money's worth with the current value. All of this. Like, so many. So many. And there's cannons in here and everything. Like, Jesus. Probably like 2.5 boxes worth. Like, there's a bunch. Plus cannons. Plus bits. And I mean, like, every bit is cut off the sprue, obviously, but yeah, there's tons. I'm not going to dump it out for obvious reasons, but yes, you will make very many militia. Tons of militia. Oh, you want a number? I'll dump it. You know what? I'll dump it out after, and I can piece out how many. It's just I'm not going to dump it out here just because I'm working. Well, I mean, you should be bringing cannons, no? If that's kind of the theme of the army. So I don't know how you're going to bring cannons again, but I guess you'll figure it out. If it's vampire counts, I don't know how you're doing half the stuff, but maybe one day you'll get rules for like Coast. You run them as Empire. That's what I'd do. Absolutely. You can even take animated Hulks if you had wanted to with like the Badlands Ogre Mercenaries, if that's even a thing for the Empire, which I think it might be. Holy shit. We're good. We're chilling. Although I think I need to leave soon, which is the common problem of this stream. I'm just very busy, and we have to have dinner, and it's like 10 o'clock. Try and make at least one Promethean crab. It's about the same size as a horse, so I'm debating if I make another Arnessa as its rider. I just do standard ones, dude. I do standard ones. Weather's pretty good. It's been shit cold in New Zealand. I kind of like the cold, man. Maybe not freezing cold. Winter is here. Okay, maybe not the winter, but I like cold, rainy days. Today it was pretty warm. Usually at night it's a little chilly, but that's good. Fall is peak. Yep. Always is. Was better when you were a kid though, and you also had like Halloween. How are you building the shells? Are you using legitimate real shells? Because that could be kind of how you do it now. Yeah, I was gonna say that makes sense. Yep. It's similar to New Zealand. Well, I guess I gotta go then, man. It's like my climate. I would like to go to New Zealand just to see the Lord of the Rings stuff, but outside of that, I don't think I have an innate desire to be there, personally. Where I would like to go is sure New Zealand, but that's like dead last. I want to go to Nottingham because I do need to go to Warhammer World, and me and my girlfriend want to go to Japan just because it's so gimmicky and they've got like a billion different touristy things. Like you'll never get that experience elsewhere, type of deal. Banff and Jasper were so cold. A revel. I don't know, man. It's either way. I'm wearing out fucking shorts and whatever weather we've got. Cheapest to go, and there's. Oh wow, really? I didn't know that. That is interesting. Maybe we'll go in the next year or two. That would be nice to save money on that. Meet up in Texas. I actually have thought about going to Texas. There is a restaurant that opened up that I do want to go visit, just because I know a few people who work there. Not personally, but like enough. Or maybe not so much work there, but like worked on the restaurant. I use smaller mud crab claws for the undead pirate ogres. That's cool. Yeah. I mean, what else are you going to use, right? You could use 3D printed bits or actual bits from like real life, you know? That's cool. That's exactly what I would do. It's like, why 3D print a claw when I can go acquire one from like the ocean? It does make sense. Not hard to look around. Yeah, you're good. When I was down in Maine, that shit was littering like every beach. A road trip from top to bottom. That's so, man. Right now, I fucking hate traveling. We've traveled way too much recently from like Toronto to Montreal. It's just not fun. I want to get off the road. If I go anywhere, I want to be walking distance and just chilling. At least right now. I want to settle down and chill. Cleaning them, well, I guess they are from nature, so they're probably a bit dirty. Can you not just put them in, like, warm, soapy water and then give them the old sonic scrubber? Bake them in the oven? Traffic is never asked, no. We usually travel by train. And to be fair, trains, I mean, very chill, but it's just too much, man. Too much travel. But I will try to get out of here in about 10 minutes or so. We need to go have dinner. You have to boil them? Okay, makes sense. You don't want any of that shit coming back with you. Get some, like, microscopic disease. Okay. You'd have to hire a camper to see all the sights. Yeah. I mean, some people do that for sure, though. Some people are very outdoorsy and want to see all of a country and its nature. And that's cool. Some people live to travel the world and just see everything once, you know? Can't blame them. Not just hit, like, generic touristy spots. You rent a, whatever the fuck that thing's called. Like a little container. And it just comes over. Feeders for a pet I once had. Jesus. I mean, you're kind of a weirdo, bro. You got beetles and shit? That's kind of funky, no? Yeah, I got a dog, man. You got beetles? That's cool. Some people love weird pets. You don't think the U.S. has that? Well, we're gonna have family help us, but it's like a little, like a container that you drag along. It's got wheels. I don't know the word for it exactly. I had it earlier today because I was talking about it today, but like a little I don't know what to call it. We don't own a lot of stuff. All of the shit I own here, I've had here for ages. It's a trailer. Yeah, it's like a mini trailer. We just visit Montreal to stay with family, to visit Ivana's family. And now we're situating ourselves back here. Well, we're not renting a pod. I know of a pod. This to just travel stuff is it's a little trailer. It's like a dinky, half the size of a car, kind of sits behind. You know, you drag it along. We don't own a lot of stuff over there. I want a tarantula, but my girlfriend is a bit of an probe, much to my dismay. I mean, maybe it'll work out, man. You just got to get it and be like, hey, babe, look what I got. Don't murder me. They'll learn to accept it. I'll be needing one soon myself. Good to know. Well, you rent them. You just find a place that rents them out, and you rent them for like a weekend or something, and you're good. We've got a lot of very helpful families, so like thankfully we've got that, and a lot of people are kind of down to help us with moving stuff and you know general cleanup and whatnot. So oh, I would imagine we're not moving anywhere. We're just kind of getting our shit out of that place and bringing it here because this is where I live. I don't think I'd ever have this shit in like any other place. It's a lot of work though, for sure. And if you have a lot of like collectibles and whatnot, which I do, just because I collect shit, um, it's a fucking nightmare. It's like, yeah, you don't want shit to break. Not my mugs, please. Anything but the ceramic mugs. Not the Jabba the Hutt action figure. If you're moving and don't own anything, it's a blessing. If not, have fun. Does my family watch my streams? Fuck no. I think my mom sometimes, but no one else. Thankfully. Well, I will be going through the we'll modify the VIP list a bit and the mod list. You know, I got some ideas. I know of people who show up more often than not. I am aware. I'll buy another one if I need it mentality. Yeah, that's pretty bad, especially if you want to save money. I understand that. I've done that before, but like some things you can't replace. And for those things you can't, you make it work. If you're talking about really junky old like IKEA furniture that is kind of beaten, I understand. But for irreplaceable things, no, you make that work always. Cheems for mod. Yeah, okay. I'll be getting out of here in about a minute or two. We gotta go. We gotta go get dinner and clean. We've only got a week more here to make it mochi friendly. How have you made it mochi friendly? We've just moved a bunch of stuff around, cleaned out a kitchen to where he can kind of like have his food and whatnot. We're just trying to make like pushing furniture back so he's got more room to run around, shit like that. We're also dealing with my mother who's got a lot of stuff that I'm trying to like help her sift through and figure out what she wants to do with. So it's just kind of a jumble of a lot of different things. Like, thankfully, Mochi is tiny. If he was any bigger, he would not fit here. Um, so we are making as much room as we can for the little booger to just do what he wants and be happy. So that's the goal. I'm trying to thin out Warhammer as well. Like, I got to make some room in here. Like, Jesus, it's a fucking mess. You want Warhammer? I'll sell it to you. I got Orcs. I got Votan. I got God knows what. That's him. That's Mochi. I haven't seen him in about a week and a half, and I miss him. I miss Mochi. He means no harm. He doesn't even know what that word means. I miss him. I wonder what he'll be doing if I'm working on this shit. Hopefully bothering Ivana. Ideally. Maybe I'll bring in a little bed. Yeah, I've played a lot of the new Dwarf stuff. I like it. It's fun. I don't play campaign. I only really play multiplayer. So for the sake of multiplayer, I've dabbled in quite a bit of it. Now all we need is the Thunder Barge in miniature form, and life is good. That's all I'm waiting for at this point. All the other stuff I've got. Man, the crew looks so good. I use 1,000. Sandpaper, what I'm going to do, essentially all I'm doing is like scraping off 90% of it right now, and then I'll go in with sandpaper and like really smooth things out. I use 1,000. Wet sanding with 1,000 is perfectly fine. Everything will come out crystal smooth, like no bumps, ridges, no problems. So 1,000 grit, a bit of water, and you're good. Super easy. When it comes to metal minis, I'll try maybe a bit lower. Maybe. I haven't fucked with metal minis in so long, so I'm going to have to see what sandpaper to use on these guys. I'll give it a shot on them. I would. I mean, if you're very anal about building, like I am extremely well, I guess you could say I'm just mentally ill. I am very mentally ill when it comes to making Warhammer, and I try to get every single mold line, every single problem. If I've spent so much money on it, why not? So I'd say it's worth it if you want your minis to look really good. Of course, paint jobs are going to cover most of that shit up anyways, but if you don't want mold lines or any issues, yeah. Because right now I'm just using a blade, and the blade does get pretty much all of it, but you can still go over what you've done with the blade with sandpaper and really get it good. So there is that. Most people use files. You got to play some Malifaux yesterday, and it was a lot of fun. Came back and scored 3 points in the last round to tie it 5-5. I've never played Malifaux, but I've seen it so many times in hobby stores that aren't GW, obviously. Isn't it just like warbands killing each other? It's like a smaller scaled, like skirmish game type of deal. Nice terrain. Yeah, not cardboard boxes or Coke cans. You always look at like you always look at shit like this and say, "Damn, I wish I had this table." And then you look at what you have, and it's like the kitchen table with a bunch of just household items. Yeah, we can dream. We can dream. Standard deck of playing cards instead of dice. That's cool. That is different, yeah. I remember seeing it like 2000s, mid 2000s, early 2000s, I think. I can't remember exactly. I don't know if the game's been out that long. I remember their bases were always kind of like beveled. Had this like really weird soft lip to the base. Cutting foam straight to make pillars and walls. Yeah, yeah. That shit is toxic though. I wouldn't really be breathing that shit in too much. But that is useful. People do love that tool. Or you've got the ones that kind of like sit down. They situate themselves and you can kind of just push pieces through. That's also good. They do look a little bit more display oriented. Yeah. For me, I prefer the GW look, but in terms of them sitting on a shelf, they look nice. Okay. After this song, I do have to go. And I don't think you can even fucking hear it, so it doesn't matter. I have to go after this song. Artorius, thank you, buddy. Hello, sir. Well, the only thing left is that one body and then arms, and then I have to go through and really clean everything up. Crazily enough, I think they actually... They want you to put this on here? Really? The bald guy is supposed to have hair jutting out of the back of his neck. This torso fits perfectly into this slot. Not that you have to use it, but interesting choice. Very interesting. I think it has to do with this pouch. Like, it fits perfectly there. Oh, you know what? Not really, actually. This one. I guess they fit everywhere, but, like, this one in particular is a snug fit. Weird-looking dude. Okay, this song is over, and with this song being over, I need to go eat dinner. We've only been here for about 2.5 hours, which is kind of a lot. But yeah, with that being said, I am out of here. I will be on tomorrow. I want to say both channels. I don't think we're leaving to do anything in particular, so we should be okay to be here. And yeah. So with that being said, I'm out of here. Everybody take care. Stay safe. Be well. Have a great night. And yeah, me too. I do hope